Finding the right jeans is hard. Accepting your jeans is even harder.
Whether you wear boyfriend or bootcut, high-rise or low-rise, this podcast will teach you to love the jeans you are in. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tina. And we're going to use modern research to bust diet myths and get real about body after baby.
We're going to take you on a journey of unpacking your old beliefs about food and weight so you can learn to nourish your body and raise body-confident kids.
So put your booty in a chair and let's talk mom jeans.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome back to Mom Jeans.
Welcome back.
All right. We hope you enjoyed the last episode, and we are going to piggyback on that a little bit this episode, and we're talking about the real deal on postpartum mental health today.
Uh-oh.
Our tagline is medication saved my life.
Yep. And still is.
And still is. Yeah.
It should be that. It saved my life and still is. Uh-oh,
there
we're
you
going to change
all, listeners. Just in a fresh update on our tagline.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, last episode we talked about the challenges that comes with birthing. And today we're talking about the challenges that come after birthing. And those still are neck down for sure. But today we're going to focus on the neck up. And so we are going to dive into some statistics on postpartum mental health and also share our own stories. We did want to give a quick trigger warning. In this episode, we are going to talk about some pretty severe mental health states, pregnancy loss, miscarriage, and suicide. And so if that triggers you, please skip this episode and take care of yourself. But yeah, these are pretty real things that occur in postpartum mental health. So we needed to name them. So do what you need to do.
It's going to be an unfiltered conversation. And so not only in conjunction to this episode, but you should be taking care of yourself mental health wise. And so, we're going to be talking about some challenging things. So skip on. There's lots of future episodes you can listen to. So
fair.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Let's dive into what is perinatal mood disorders and the prevalence. Did you all know about 1 in 7 people experience perinatal depression during pregnancy or within the first year postpartum? And up to 50% of cases go undiagnosed, which we will dive into more. Up to 24% of women experience postpartum depression within a year of giving birth. And in the United States, approximately 20% of women suffer from a mental health or substance use disorder during pregnancy or postpartum, potentially because of the postpartum pressures, and most never receive care.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you. I think this stat is actually lower than probably real life.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, 1 in 7, 24%. Are you serious? Because every person that I talk to is almost like me. I also want to like go back and like edit and be like, not people, like just people can have babies and be pregnant or whatever. And these stats are like copied and pasted. So it should be 24% of people experience postpartum depression, or approximately 20% of people.
Right. The statistics that we're pulling from the United States Statistic Bureau do have the word women in it, which is why we quoted that. But yes, thank you for
birthing people.
There you are.
Yeah. Birthing people.
Yeah.
So get with it, research.
I know. Listen, we're doing our best. You all know that we support you all.
Yeah.
So I would want to say 100% of people experience something postpartum, but it is a spectrum. So I think anyone listening to this, anyone who, even if you're not birthing, even if you're adopting or fostering, it is a severe impact on adjustment, and adjustment disorder is in the DSM and it leads to mental health. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Adjustment disorder. It's like, we all need a minute to adjust to new things in life, and postpartum is a massive new thing.
And I feel like no one really prepares you for that. It's like, okay, yes, I mean, obviously your life is going to change because you're going from, especially for the first child, right? You're going from not having to take care of this little being to now having to take care of being. But I don't feel like I didn't feel prepared for that.
Mm-mm.
And I don't remember anyone ever saying like, say bye to free time, or, oh, you slept in? That's never going to happen again, or whatever, you know? And so adjustment disorder, I feel like I need to look that up.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's all those, I forget the names of the cool ones, the popular ones, because it's been so long, but all those like pregnancy books, you know, and preparing for baby books. And like the final chapter is the shortest one. And it like briefly touches on maybe you'll have baby blues, but it's not normalized. So I think you're right. That was a shocker for me personally to realize that this is prevalent and no one's talking about it. And I'll go into my story in a minute, but I truly am an advocate now for this topic because that adjustment, that change is very, very important and very prevalent.
Yeah. Yeah. It hit my head like a ton of bricks. I'll tell you that.
Well, I can share a little bit about my relating with some of these stats, which again, I personally think it's 100% and it's a spectrum. So that kind of plays into my personal experience. I've had 4 pregnancies, 3 births and 1 miscarriage, and kind of fell on the spectrum, every point of the spectrum after every single one. I think it's just kind of important to name that spectrum because of the stigma with postpartum that, or even quite frankly, in my last pregnancy, it was during the pregnancy. I relate to that statistic. And it can be a spectrum. And so therefore, no matter where you are talking about it, getting support is needed. So let's see, for my first child, I talked about this last episode. I had some grief over a traumatic delivery, and I definitely had baby blues. And I remember thinking, I just feel like I kind of wish my baby would get sick and need to go to the hospital so I could get a break. And when I had that thought, I went, oh, I don't know if that's normal. Baby blues. Or maybe it is normal, but I just realized like, okay, that's actually, you know, a significant thought that I need to probably take care of. I did get a little bit of therapy at that point for my traumatic delivery, but it wasn't until I got pregnant and then had a miscarriage that I just felt that profound sadness. I had fatigue, loss of interest in things. I just felt like a zombie. So that's when I really dove into the therapy and noted that letting go of like all the expectations in pregnancy and how life would go would really be helpful to healing some of that depression. And then I had another pregnancy that resulted in a live birth. And with that one, I honestly experienced nothing but joy, relief, some adjustment, but no postpartum. And that was interesting for me to note that it does vary pregnancy to pregnancy. Yeah. I thought that was kind of healing for me though, to realize like, okay, I can also have some positive experiences and adjustments with this. So that was healing for my story. But then came my third live birth, my 4th pregnancy. This is where it got bad. It was an unexpected pregnancy. And I really struggled from day one of finding out that I was pregnant, that this was happening, and the depression and just the overwhelm hit almost immediately. After I gave birth, I could literally feel my brain chemicals like not bouncing back to where they like usually do after birth. Like I just feel like my brain was like fried, but it's not working. Something's not connecting. The wires aren't connecting. They're short circuiting. Like I was irritable. I was raging. My entire body felt on pins and needles. Like my skin felt sensitive. It was a very interesting physical response. I was crying at the drop of the hat, and the rock bottom was, and I won't share details, but I started having some suicidal thoughts. And that's when it really hit me that this is some severe postpartum. It's time for more help. Thankfully, I was not working at the time as a therapist because that would be very challenging. Thankfully was on maternity leave, so that was helpful to be able to focus on that. I was also able to call my doctor and get medication. Unfortunately, and I just want to name this because I know for many people, medication is really tricky to figure out which one works for you and what dosage. So I also want to normalize the fact that my doctor kind of just called in a super high dose right off the bat, and it hit me too hard. I felt like a zombie. So thankfully, because I know what I know slightly by being in this field, I was able to call back, take matters in my own hands, advocate for a lower dose, and then we work together to tweak it. But that's a really important piece that I want to empower listeners is like, it's okay to not just have the first medication work. You can change medication, you can change dosage, whatever you need to do to get your brain feeling like, oh, this is what we needed. So once that medication kicked in, my brain did feel like it was a little bit back working the way it's kind of supposed to, but it was years of overwhelm of 3 kids, hormones, breastfeeding, lack of sleep. My partner was traveling all the time, so I felt alone. Honestly, I was just overstimulated all the time. So I feel like, yeah, some of that severe postpartum and my mental health was rescued off the edge by the medication. But then, hey, parenting's hard. Like parenting's hard no matter what. And the postpartum story just keeps going until I don't know.
We haven't
We're empty nesters, maybe.
But then isn't that even a postpartum story?
Probably. We'll get there in episode.
We haven't
18.
gotten there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Season 72.
There we go. Season 72, we'll talk about empty nesting. So that's my story. I just want to share it because I have so many different points in the spectrum that I've been in and wanted to see, hopefully listeners will relate to some of that. I don't know, Tina, what you related to or if your stories.
Well, I think it's just normalizing, right? It's like, I think for me, my brain struggles with any sort of struggle. Like I'm supposed to be this strong person.
Expectations.
Yeah. Like I own my own business and I have employees and I really hold a lot of their lives in my hands. And as a result of that, self-inflicted, I feel like, okay, I need to have it together. And that's one example of various other angles in my life. So I think for me, when my husband and I decided to have kids, I thought there would be a little bit more time from decision to actually having a baby. And this is privileged in just saying it, but we basically tried one time and then the next month I was pregnant with our first. And it just being our first, it's totally overwhelming from the start. And as all of y'all know, my husband travels for a living and still does and forever will. And so I went through that pregnancy a lot by myself because I don't have any family. Like I have chosen family, but I don't have any family that lives here in Austin. And so I went to a lot of appointments by myself. I was experiencing the pregnancy exhaustion by myself. Luckily, I have a lot of like gal pals that, just normalize that pregnancy. But once I had Henry, I didn't know I was struggling, but I was really struggling. I think I also found out I had Hashimoto's. When I was 6 months postpartum, my hair was falling out, my skin was dry, I was so exhausted. My milk supply dropped. And I remember going to the doctor and him being like, don't you feel like shit? And I was like, yeah, but I'm 6 months postpartum. Is this not what everyone feels like? And he was like, your TSH is so high. I don't know how you're functioning. And I'm like, oh, I'm not functioning.
It's because you're so strong.
It's because I'm so strong.
That you probably like repressed how much your body was screaming at you.
Totally. And once I started the thyroid medication, I felt physically a lot better. but emotionally, I did not. And I remember a lot of those sleepless nights alone, just sobbing and being like, I hate this so much. I hate it. It's never going to end. I'm in this like really dark space. And then when my husband would be home, he like just wasn't really supportive because I don't think he knew any better way to help me or be involved, to be honest.
They don't even really know how to help sometimes.
No, I remember
you
him.
and I's experience.
Yeah, I remember him waking up one night and I hadn't slept. I hadn't been to sleep yet because I was almost scared to fall asleep, because if I fell asleep, I didn't know how long I was going to sleep for. If it was going to be 5 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 20 minutes, whatever it was. So I almost had this like depression type of insomnia. And I was sobbing, and he sat up and he was like, why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, just go to bed. And I'm like, but if I go to bed, Henry's going to wake me up. And it was just this thing.
Yeah.
And so
the irrational thoughts are a big symptom with postpartum.
So my depression was actually anger. It came out through anger. It wasn't necessarily sadness. It was so mad at everything. I was explosive and I had no actual toleration to anything. And I didn't take any medication. I didn't get any help. I was seeing a therapist, but I don't think I had words to what I was experiencing. So I thought I was just angry. And so I wasn't necessarily talking about those things in therapy. And so it really went unnoticed. And then Henry's sleeping through the night more. I'm getting more sleep. I'm coming back to life. Right. And we also had like COVID. So Drew was home. And then we had the writer's strike within the industry. So Drew was home. And
we were recording during all that, I remember.
Yeah. But then I got pregnant with my second. And again, I'm recognizing the privilege here. It was like we tried one time, and within the next month I was pregnant. And I'm now pregnant with a toddler by myself. My husband is taking bigger jobs, gone for longer periods of time. The pregnancy wasn't really that terrible, other than I had the worst reflux and I was so large in the belly area. And so my back hurt and I had reflux, and then I had the C-section and all the things that were just like, it rocked my body. I didn't recognize the postpartum right away again until my husband was in Thailand for 6 months filming a show. And I remember going to my doctor and being like, I'm going to die. Like, I hate my life. I'm not going to kill myself, but I want to die. I just don't want this to be my life.
This reality is just too much.
It's too much. This sucks. Yeah. It sucks so bad. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more involved in that. I was so isolated from my partner, and I don't want to be a parent by myself. Yeah. I didn't sign up for that. Right.
I remember saying, like, this is just not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
It's not. Now that I'm on the other side of it, it's not sustainable, but it feels endless in the moment.
Totally. And so she was like, why don't we just try something small just to take the edge off? And I was like, I never considered it. I don't know why, but I never had considered that their medication could be a solution to this. Right. Because everything else in my life was functioning well. My job was fine. I was taking care of myself. I was being social, whatever. But inside, I'm like, this is the worst life ever.
Well, your brain chemicals were off due to pregnancy and situation. Yeah. So yeah, you need to stabilize the brain chemicals in a way that no job, no partner, home, or traveling can do. It's a medication tackles a different symptom that
Totally.
nothing in your lifestyle can tweak.
Exactly. And I started that medication and almost immediately, I mean, life still sucked because my kids aren't sleeping or I don't have any free time or whatever, but the edge was off. I was
more serotonin, dopamine, or whichever, SSRI, and whatever you took. When the brain chemicals are flowing at balanced levels, it's amazing how much our tolerance for the stressors.
That's really what increases. It was. My tolerance increased. I was like, okay, that's a bummer, and I can get through this. Right. So as someone who works in the field, like I'm not a therapist, but I work a lot with individuals. I guess I had a lot of shame and judgment in the fact that, like, how did I not recognize this? Right. And that I think is the hardest part for me in this whole process and what I try to encourage others on is like, you may not be able to see it because you're living and breathing it. Do you have people on the outside that can check in with you, that can see those red or yellow flags happening?
But even then, and I think we're going to talk about the stigma later, but even then, that's a really awkward conversation to have sometimes. Like, we can get defensive if someone's
totally
like, have you considered medication? Right? Like, that's a hard, or am I a safe enough person for that person to suggest it? Or does that cross the boundary? It's tricky. It's really tricky.
I just remember, like, I Marco Polo with some girlfriends, which if you don't know what that is, it's just like a recorded video that is all on this app. And I was just sobbing.
They were like, it's time for an intervention via
Well, my one friend like back messaged me and was like, I care about you. This is not okay.
Oh, that's good.
You got to go talk to somebody. Right. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, yes, your husband.
That's a great example of how to say
That's a great example, right? Not like, hey, you should take medication, but more so, this is not right. Something is going on. And that's the red and yellow flag where I think it's like, oh, it's validation. Like, it's okay to go ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that actually goes into our next part of the statistics.
Love it. I didn't even mean for that transition.
Yeah. So much of postpartum goes undiagnosed. In fact, one of the stats we pulled was that 50% of perinatal depression cases go untreated and undiagnosed. And a national study found that only 6% of people with postpartum actually seek the help and support. So I think that names it. And we're saying why. It's hard to see it. It's hard to talk about. And as a therapist too, I struggle to recognize the symptoms in myself. Yeah. I think honestly, it felt like because I felt like if you have postpartum, it's like you're not doing postpartum right or something. Like I felt weak. I felt like it was me that was doing something wrong or failing. Yeah. I felt like I should know it. I should know how to do this. I am a therapist after all. I was able to diagnose myself, but then I felt like, why me and what am I doing wrong? So it was just, there was such a stigma in naming it and then talking about it. But at the end of the day, the stigma is what leads to unmet needs and support. And that's why we're here talking about it, because you can't get help if you don't know what's going on.
I feel like we have to bring in like access to care into this. Like if I didn't have the privilege to be able to access healthcare and be able to go to the doctor and then get medication, I'd probably be still living in that space, right? So this is the perpetual cycle of access to care.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, Tina, you even found a stat for Texas, since you're in Texas, that up to 60% of counties in Texas are called maternity care deserts because they lack proper obstetric coverage.
We won't
And
try that word.
yeah, well, there you go. I did it.
You
And
did
in
it.
the US, only 17% of new parents even have access to paid parental leave. And that's not, we don't even have stats, but we all know insurance is tricky. People navigating insurance, getting the telehealth doctor appointments, maybe if you can't get in person, getting in person, paying for the prescriptions, going to get the prescriptions. I mean, access to the support is such a barrier that we name was even hard for us, and we're privileged people. So it's absolutely something to name.
I know that like when Drew and I moved from California to Texas, I know for him specifically, like in California, California does reimburse parental leave for the non-birthing partner, right? And in Texas, that is not a thing unless you prepare. And so, which I didn't, but you could take out, which again, privilege and access and finances here. If you know ahead of time that you're going to start trying and, or, want to give birth or adopt or whatever it is, need to go on parental leave, you can look into taking out a short-term disability policy through a private insurer. And then in that, they will reimburse wages for up to 12 weeks. And so that's something where I'm guiding my Texas individuals, employees and things like that, where it's like really paying into a short-term disability policy, which is a relatively small amount per month. I think it depends on your actual wages, but that would be something, because it isn't, the state doesn't provide that. And to have zero parental leave and work for yourself, there's a significant pressure to go back to work early. Like when I went back second time with my second pregnancy, I had to offboard all of my clients to my staff or people in the community, because I'm like, there's no way I can do this. Yeah. There's no way.
I had to close my practice for a year and a half after my
who
last
can financially afford that? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
And because I ran my own business, I didn't have any benefits, or I couldn't pay into any, like I didn't have access to even having any of that government support. So it felt like it was a lose-lose. It was literally a lose-lose. So I absolutely understand and name that this is complicated. And I love that concept that you're talking about finding those short-term insurance loopholes. And not everybody can figure out how to do that, because that is a lot of red tape to read through and people to call. That's a time suck. And sometimes, as you've named, people get pregnant unexpectedly. And so there's not time.
Yeah, then you're screwed there. No,
I mean,
there it's that's the thing where these loopholes exist. Or in Texas specifically, if you call for the short-term disability outside of the first trimester, I think the cutoff is 8 weeks.
Some people don't even know they're expecting.
I know. And open up the policy 8 weeks or beyond, it's done. You can't take it out. They won't allow you to.
So once again, now we understand why 100% of birthing people have some sort of postpartum. I mean, every angle path we go down in talking about this lands us in the same space. Yeah. Which is, it is a big mental health impact. Yeah. To welcome a child into your home.
Yeah. I was talking to this individual who was visiting my friend here in Texas. She lives in Japan. And she's a lawyer. And she was in town here for a while. And I'm like, and her baby was like 3-4 months. And I'm like, how are you doing this? How are you here? How are you and your family traveling abroad? Seriously. And she was like, oh, well, the government gives us a year off for both parents. If there are 2 parents, for both. Now, I don't want to butcher the stat because I haven't looked into this. So if I'm remembering it incorrectly, like maybe the partner was 6 months or 8 months, or maybe it was a year. I can't remember exactly. All I do know is that the birthing parent had the option for up to 2 years of paid time off, the first period of time was full wages, and the second period of time was like a percentage of wages. And I was like, whoa, that could you imagine?
I had a client once tell me, and again, I could butcher this stat too. I believe it was Germany that my client was from, and she said it was up to 3 years.
Wow.
But I now we have not done it. So if anyone wants to do some Google searching for us and
Ooh.
email us, I'd be very curious what the postpartum perinatal mood disorder stats are in some of those other countries.
Yeah.
And how much of that financial support and permission to pause and focus on healing yourself and adjusting to this new person in your life helps with the mood disorders. Now, that being said, obviously, if it's a brain chemical issue, then, you know, Japan.
But isn't it compounded?
Pay me out the wazoo,
right?
and I still need a Prozac, but it's absolutely compounded. Absolutely.
It's compounded because I think like there's so much internalized pressure to be like, oh, well, I have to get all these things done, or I only have so much time before I have to go back to work, or instead of being like, this is really hard. This is life-changing.
Well, and I think
need to take care of myself.
Right. And I think it takes almost probably up to a year. Again, I don't have a stat, but that was my own experience for my hormones to feel a little bit more healed, in which case, having more time to rest helps with the physical self-care.
I mean, to be honest, Audrey's 3.5, and I am just now kind of like, my body almost feels separate from my kids, even though they'll occasionally like put their arm in my shirt and start nibbling and tibbling my bits. You know, I'm like, get out of my boobies, you know, like, and I have been breastfed these gremlins for years. Like,
I feel like my body was not mine for, let's see, my oldest is 14. I would say probably like 12 years.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Well, because I just kept having these people.
I kept having these kids.
And
well, then can you imagine
resetting the clock
that have back to back?
I'm like, no wonder I need Prozac. My brain was like, everyone's touching me. I'm overstimulated.
Overstimulated.
Yeah. Well, here's the good news, everybody. We did find a fun stat. It's Wikipedia, so who knows the accuracy? But
oh my gosh,
80% of people with postpartum depression will fully recover, especially if they receive timely treatment.
Oh, okay.
Now, that being said, there are about 30%, 38% was another stat, which that doesn't equal 100, but that's okay. Who remain depressed, or I want to say anxious. I feel like we talk about depression, but I could go on and on about postpartum anxiety. Anyway, 3 years postpartum without the proper support. But I do like this stat. There is an element of hope and an element of, hey, if I name the reality of my struggles, if I'm able to get the support, get medication, get therapy, and my body does have some of that time to heal, I can advocate for the different ways that my body needs healing support. The child's growing up, like it does lead to recovery, although obviously recovery looks different for everybody.
Right.
But as someone who does diagnosis, I mean, the diagnostic criteria is it's a situational diagnosis, right? You don't get postpartum unless you have the child.
That makes sense.
Because of that, the recovery rate is a little bit higher than it being something biological where, you know, so I think that's kind of where that statistic is looking at. But again, with the spectrum, I think the recovery spectrum is not only wide, but also the length of time is very, very long. Like I said, I think it was 12 years for me until everyone was finally breathing and wiping their butts on by themselves, right? Like it dissipated, but it's still mentally a lot to manage, and medication continues to save my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, if I kept having kids, then I'd still be in it. Right.
Yeah.
I also think something I really just want to give permission to everyone is like, our society does not set us up to succeed in this nature. Right. Like, I really think having a commune of people that are pregnant and postpartum together and taking care of each other is really where the most success would be, right? Like, I think it's like just having so much support and being like, you're tired, let me take your baby. I have mine. Don't worry. Take care of yourself. We'll swap, right? Or like, I think back in the day, people were like chest feeding other people's children, right? And so I think like the way that our society is today, so much of our life is isolated financially, accessibility. There's such a divide between the top and the bottom and the middle, and resources.
There's not this
just
sense of village, right? That it takes a
there's
village to
no
raise a child.
village.
There's no village.
There's no village. Even if you live near family, it's like there still is no village because of so many reasons. And we've talked about it, right? We've talked about the lack of postpartum financial support for work, or I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have free postpartum care, mental health care, where you could, everybody, part of your treatment plan, just like scans or whatever, it was like, hey, for up to 2 years afterwards, you're getting regular assessments, health assessments, mental health assessments that are beyond, do you want to hurt yourself? I didn't want to hurt myself, right? Like,
right. You're like, I need a little bit more of a detailed question.
I need something else here, right? I need something that's someone to take 15 minutes to just talk to me.
Yeah.
That's
it. I also think the government should send out a warm, bosomy, Mary Poppins type lady to everyone's doorstep when you give birth as a present to just love you and take care of you. Because it's like the hardest part was I'm trying to take care of this child, but no one's taking care of me. And in order to carve out the time to take care of ourselves, that is where we have this huge obstacle.
Right.
This is where the village comes into play, and we don't have the village. The village is not actually about taking care of the baby. It's about taking care of the parent.
Right. Do you ever see those reels where it's like people come in, like the family comes in to see the parent and the baby who they had just given birth, and everyone rushes to the baby, and it's either like the dad or the mom goes to the birthing parent? Those get me. I sob, right? Because like, I actually don't want, like, the baby is the baby. Oh, they're so cute, whatever. But like, how are you? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Like, that's where I think the focus.
That's always my first text to people when they've texted me about having a baby or something. I'm all, congratulations. And how are you?
How are you?
How's your body? How's your mind? Are you okay?
Yeah.
I'm here.
And to keep checking in, right?
Yes.
I think like probably the hardest times are 3, 6, 9 months into it.
Yeah.
Right. The first 2 weeks to 6 weeks, you're riding on hormones. But it's the time after where everyone kind of drops off, rightfully so, no judgment, but everyone kind of drops off, gets back to their normal life. And now that's where the isolation kicks in.
And I think that's where it circles back to what you brought up earlier in the episode about the expectation to be strong. I think people kind of give you a little bit of a pass for a couple weeks, but then at some point people just, I think this is society expects you just to buck up.
Yeah.
And
get back to life.
Going and get back to life. And that's really hard for those of us who are more prone to the postpartum depression or anxiety, or just any parent.
Right.
Like I can't get back to life because my entire life has changed, which means I still need ongoing support. I still need to figure out who I am now.
Yeah. Do you want to know the most common suggestion, which every time someone suggests this, I want to punch them in the face?
Okay.
That's not my postpartum depression anger coming out. It's legit. I want to punch them in the face.
3.5 years anger, post anger.
But when I talk to them about like, I'm just overwhelmed, this is really hard. It's really hard to function on 4 hours of sleep and have a full work day and then come home and take care of children while your husband is working in another country. They're like, why don't you just get an au pair? And I'm like, do you realize that that costs a lot of money?
More than you'd be making, probably. You might as well just quit work at that point. Probably the same. Who knows? Yes.
Right. I'm like, okay, well, one, I don't have the mental capacity to even research that. So no. 2, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And that had been brought up so many times that eventually I'm just like, that's such a good suggestion. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My least favorite is sleep when the baby sleeps.
I will throw you across the room. Okay.
Okay, while the laundry fairy and dish fairy do the chores, like what? How am I
But
supposed to?
even that, okay, like to me, I'm the type of person like, I don't care about the laundry. I don't care about the dishes. Let it pile up. My non OCD brain can turn that right off and it does not bother me. But it's the fact that, like, sleep when the baby sleeps. Okay, great. I haven't consistently, I'm so chronically tired that I can't actually fall asleep. I'm tired, but I'm scared to sleep because it's an unguaranteed time of how long you're going to sleep.
I think that's really important to name that
right.
The inability to sleep is actually one of the postpartum symptoms. So it's not that easy.
It's not that easy because I don't want 5 minutes of sleep. I don't want 20 minutes of sleep. Right. I want consecutive sleep.
Yeah.
So to me, it's almost not even worth sleeping for 20 minutes. I just rather stay tired because 20 minutes at that point, at that time, isn't going to do it for me.
Well, when you have anxiety, you can't just turn off your brain at 1:23 p.m. for 20 minutes. Like that's just
for
not
20
how that,
minutes. Yeah.
That's not how that works. And
No.
Postpartum anxiety, I think, is just as prevalent as depression. It's a spectrum. One of the things that helped me, by the way, was naming that the rage that you're talking about, the anger, is actually a sign of anxiety. And I didn't realize
I'll tell
that
my therapist.
until I had studied this a little bit more and found it myself. But yeah, it's like we assume it's depression, and if we're not feeling depressed, but I forgot there's a whole spectrum of anxiety symptoms that no one's naming. So it really presents itself in all different ways. But yeah, it's going to be hard to sleep when the baby sleeps when you can't turn your brain off. And yeah. I mean, let's go into some of the hope pieces. Because I do.
Let's go into some hope.
I'm going to pretend that 80% stat is accurate and be like, there's hope, everybody. What did help then? What helped each of us? Let's maybe name something.
To stay on track with the episode, it was the medication. Again, I think it was like, okay, it just took the edge off. Asking for support, like allowing people to come and stay with me. Like I have a very good friend that lives in Los Angeles, does not have kids, works virtually. And so her sweet soul has come here for 6 weeks at a time, multiple times to stay with me. And
please bring your regulated nervous system and well-rested body into my house.
Well, and to me, like the thing that I've processed the most in therapy in those specific moments was I'm bringing this individual into my home, who I love and care for immensely, but I'm bringing her into the most vulnerable space, which is I'm at my weakest point, and now you see it. I can't hide it.
Yeah.
Right. And so allowing that to actually happen, I needed to get to that space where I was willing to let her see that. And then I think the kids just kind of getting older, which unfortunately, I mean, my kids aren't that old. They're 6 and 3, but getting out of that newborn phase, like it's hard, but it's hard in a different way. And my 3-year-old's still not sleeping through the night. She comes in and sleeps in my bed because they know that their dad isn't home and they just want to sleep in my bed, and my back hurts because they keep beating me in the night. But it's cute a little bit. Like I love snuggling her. Right. So it's like hard because I'm not fully sleeping, but it's not as hard, Well,
what your name is co-regulation. Co-regulation is when, for those of us who have kids, obviously you can find examples of that where our child is distressed, we hold them, comfort them, they then regulate to our system. And you basically used your friend in a beautiful way to regulate your system. And that's actually a really good point. Find the people in your village that have regulated systems that you can then co-regulate off of.
Totally.
Sometimes, especially with the partners, we're both dysregulated. Everyone's dysregulated in this house. We need to bring in a third party
Everyone's
here.
dysregulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend circle and I, we, even in the postpartum, the young baby days, we have something called connect and complain.
Ooh.
So we get together and all
that.
pay for sitters, and we get together and we connect and complain. And there is no judgment. And we can complain and complain and complain and complain, and it doesn't matter, and just bring out and purge all that shit out of your mind. And it's very nice because this is not that friend circle that you leave like, did I say something weird, or was I too complainy, or did I talk too much? No, it's just like the solid crew. And that is probably better than any therapy. It's That's not awesome. Free because I have to pay for a babysitter, and we usually eat really good, yummy food. So, but it is something that has been such an invaluable resource. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
what about for you? Because
I think the one thing that helped me after that third, I'll just focus on that one because that was my rock bottom time period. Similar to the regulation concept, I realized that I had to figure out how to stay emotionally regulated. And that was the hardest challenge. So I would just take it one day at a time, literally. Like, I just need to get through today without raging. I need to try to take some deep breaths. Do what I need to do to get through today without bursting into tears inappropriately. Obviously, grieving is, a good thing, but not when you're like in the middle of Target or something. I need to... Yeah, even then it's fine. Just one day at a time. And I would try to find one small thing to do that was that concept of self-care that was realistic for me. Even if it was just sitting on the couch and scrolling for 5 minutes, or even if it was going outside and just taking some deep breaths in my backyard. Every now and then I could get away to a yoga class or something. But you know what I did a lot? I would just lay on the ground and just breathe. And it was very actually grounding to just completely lay on the ground, flat on my back, and just take some, like I'm in Shavasana, just taking some deep breaths. Anything to try to focus on keeping my system regulated just one day at a time. And at some point along the way, years in, but I don't have to focus that hard on it. My system just doesn't get as dysregulated as quickly between, I think, medication healing my brain wiring and also the kids getting older and the decrease of the stimulation. But even then, I always have to take deep breaths. When they all get in the car after school and they're all dysregulated, and guess who they're coming to co-regulate with? Me. I have to do a lot of deep breathing so that I can provide that energy. So
much
it's nonstop.
The chaos in the brain, the overstimulation is like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Especially when you have those neurodivergent kiddos where, Henry just talks on one stream of thought. It's just like for 20 minutes straight. I've heard like 15 different facts about so many different things. I'm like, okay, I'm keeping up. And that's his co-regulation. But
and I discovered that I'm a little neurodivergent myself as I became an adult, because I realized how much this stimulation was overstimulating for me when it wasn't for some other people. So it really hit me like, I think I've gone through a lot of undiagnosed years in my life here. So here
we go. Love it.
Well, to sum it up, medication has somewhat saved our lives, and yet we're still a hot mess.
That's okay, because perfection is not the end goal, right? We're all humans. We're all just trying to survive.
Yeah, and postpartum
best.
Mood, depression, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, affects everybody. So we're here to break the stigma, to open the conversation. You're always welcome to email us, to let us know that we'll let you know you're not alone. There's all kinds of different therapy and mental health support out there. We're happy to share resources. I'm in California, Tina's in Texas. We have access to resources. The whole point is we want everyone to know that there is a village out there, and to encourage you all to keep looking for it. And we want to be part of your village if you'll have us.
Cool. Thanks for listening, everyone.
We will catch you next time on a new real deal topic.
Welcome to the real deal. Okay, bye.
This episode of Mom Jeans was produced and edited by Rachel Coleman and Tina LeBoy.
Just a reminder, this episode is not a substitute for therapeutic counsel or nutrition advice.
Thank you to Jerry DePizzo for the music production.
You can find episode information and show notes at www.momjeansthepodcast.com.
Follow us on Instagram at Mom Jeans the Podcast and join the Mom Jeans the Podcast Facebook group to find a community of mamas learning to love their bodies and discussing the episodes. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Mom Jeans. See you next time.